2 Timothy, a lot of people know this verse, but 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3 says, Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. Let's have Jack House open us up there. Are you guys can be seated? Like I said, a lot of people know this verse. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier for Jesus Christ. That's just a good thought to get us started to where I want to go eventually. But I don't want to be like a motivational speaker today, because usually people preach this type of message, because you've heard this type of message before. They're very motivational, and that's not just me. So I'm probably not the best guy to preach it, to be honest. But I don't want to preach the stuff that I'm really good at. Sometimes it's hard to tell if the Lord just gave this just for me, because you have your relationships with the Lord, and the Lord shows you stuff. Or if He gave it for me to preach too. I don't know at times. I really don't. That's something maybe I just deal with. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the Lord just wanted to show me that, or if He wants everybody to hear about it. I don't know, but I'm just going to kind of walk you through some stuff here today about this verse, but not really in a motivational way whatsoever. No offense. It's just, if you listen to those people, all they tell you to do is go do something. They'll just go tell you go fight, go fight, go fight. I don't like to fight. I'm not a natural born fighter, so don't tell me go fight for no reason, okay? So basically, this message is more just why you're fighting, why you're coming to church, why you read your Bible, why you do all that stuff. There's reasons behind it. So that's kind of the way I look at it more. When that verse tells you that, to endure hardness, well, why you got to do some stuff. For certain reasons, you're going to have to fight, okay? But don't just go fighting anybody, all right? That's not what the message is for. Some people get a little carried away. And like I said, that's not my personality. And that's why the Lord probably has me preach it. It's not far the same from my personality as fighting, probably. I'm not a pacifist, but I'm a very passive, that's probably not the right word to say, laid back guy. But when it comes to the Lord's battles, I don't want to be afraid, because one thing you'll see, everybody's afraid and you can't get nobody to show up to the battle. So the title of my message is The Battle in Array. So basically what I'm going to show you is just whenever there's a fight for the Lord, jump in, and then I'll show you why you're jumping in, because there's a reason behind it, okay? But I want to kind of show you that first, is you got to show up to fight. That's kind of the big deal. You got to show up to church. You have to show up to your Bible and read it. It just doesn't just happen. That stuff you got to fight for. I don't care who you are. It gets tiresome at times to do those things. And it gets a lot deeper than that, but I'm just showing you some certain stuff right now. But what does a good soldier do? He endures hardness, correct? And we'll kind of get to that a little bit later, but I'll just say from that verse, and I probably won't mention it too much more, the reason why I don't like fighting, maybe why you don't like it, is what's always present during a fight. Having to endure hardness. I don't like that part. Because, I don't want to say it wrong. I'll make sure. I don't like that part, because suffering's always right there when you're fighting, okay? Unless you have a very easy fight. Doesn't happen too often, though. But any fight, there's always going to be a little bit of suffering, part of it. Maybe you're suffering in your fight this morning is having to listen to me. That could be part of it. I'm not even, that's not even a joke, because you might get tired of the way I talk or the way I say stuff. That could be part of your ever-present struggle right now. I don't know. But when the battle is in array, when the church is open, as long as I have my Bible, I want to make sure I show up for the battle, okay? A good soldier will still fight through the hardness. No offense, we don't have a lot of good soldiers nowadays. They won't fight through the hardness. But let me show you, before I show you why you fight, that's the main thing. I didn't need to show you guys show up to it first. It'd be like me telling you how to do something, and then not even giving you time when to show up, right? Like, well, I need to know when to show up. So look at 1 Samuel chapter 17. I'll show you there's a battle before the battle really even starts, and that's you just showing up to it. 1 Samuel 17. 1 Samuel 17. And I promise you guys, this is not to make me look stupid or nothing. But if I wrote this message for somebody else, you would really enjoy it. It would be a great message because they could be very dramatic with it and very outgoing with it. You'd be like, man, that was a great message. But with me, you might be like, that's okay. So I'll try to make it not like every Sunday thing for you because you've heard it before. But at the same time, you're in a battle and you got to deal with some stuff at times, okay? Your battle might be having to sit here right now. But you're here for a reason. But 1 Samuel 17, 2, I'll show you there was a battle set in array. And I'll show you it was a big struggle just for anybody to show up. And you've heard of this story before, but I'm not really focusing on the person. I'm just focusing on the part nobody was showing up to the battle. 1 Samuel 17, 2 says, And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and were pitched by the valley of Elah and set the what? Battle in array. I usually always title my message with something in a verse, so there's your Easter egg if you want to do that from now on. It's like if you watch a movie and the title's in that's me. I always will title my message with something in the verse. And they set the battle in array against the Philistines. So there's a battle, and like I said, there's a lot of battles. Will I get into the family battle? Yeah, I will. But that's one battle that's probably going to be a tough battle for you guys. So I'm relating these physical battles to what you got to deal with. No offense. Probably one of the most scariest battles is your wife, right? I'm not being mean, but that's probably the last one I ever want to fight. And that's why I probably never really want to get married, truly. I do, but I don't at the same time, because that's a scary battle. But you got to present yourself there and be the man of your house and take charge of some stuff. There's a battle in array, and somebody's got to fight him. Is it going to be me or you? Hopefully both of us, because I'm going to need all the help I can get. If you ever see me fighting, I promise you better run, because something has gone very bad. That person probably tried to kill your body, and I was just happened to be there. And you probably got about 20 seconds, as they say. Just run. Don't try to help me. Just get out of there, because he's coming for you next. So you got 20 seconds. But at least I'm going to be there, okay? Your main goal today, after this, is you should just be there. I might get ragdolled pretty hard at times. But at least I was there for the Lord at times. At least I came to church, or at least I read my Bible. Like I said, I'm not comfortable preaching this type of message, but at least I'm preaching it. At least I'm here. At least I'm trying to put forth an effort here. But the battle was set in array. If you skip down to verse 8, or is it verse 6? Let me see. It's verse 8. My handwriting at times is pretty bad. I'm sorry. But verse 8 says, And he stood, this is Goliath, if you know who the story is, and he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, Why are you come out to set your battle in array? Am I not a Philistine, you servants to Saul? Choose ye a man for you, and let him what? Come down to me. At times, I'm going to choose you. I guess I can explain this. You get older, you get more responsibilities. I didn't realize how being a supervisor, why they complained. I'm like, dude, you got an easy job. I see why they complain now, because you have to choose people to go do stuff. I don't like doing that. That's kind of a thing I have to grow into now as a supervisor, as I kind of go along. But at times you go look around and be like, somebody's got to pick this battle. It's going to be Rob. There you go. Have fun. We got to put somebody up. Is that what's kind of happening here? What does he say? Am I as a Philistine, you servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him what? Come down to me. As a wife, you chose your husband. You might not like him. I don't know. I hope you do. But you might not like him in certain circumstances. But at the end of the day, so you chose to fight your battles for a lot of things. I'm not being, I'll try to say this nicely. If you come to this church, you chose a pastor to fight some battles for you. That's who you've chosen. I don't know how, as a kid, you don't really get a choice. But your dad is there to fight some battles. That's what they're there for. It'd be pretty bad if you chose somebody to choose a battle for you to help you, and what they do? Not even show up. So that's a battle right there, because what was the people's responses when he said that? Choose you, man, and come down. Verse 11 was their response. When Saul and all Israel, what? Heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. That's probably why I don't like to fight, is because I don't care who you are. Any fight can get a little scary. It's kind of like, if a fight broke out right now, I'd be like, what's going on? If Chad and Jack just start throwing hands, I'd be a little scared. I'd be like, are we okay? Do I still preach? Like, it'd shake me up a little bit. I don't know if I could keep preaching. That's a very lighthearted illustration. But in any fight, you're going to be afraid. So when it's time, if I had to get up here one day and say we have a battle, we got to choose somebody, everybody's response in here is probably going to be a little afraid. Like, don't pick me, don't pick me. Please don't pick me. I don't want to be picked for this one. How about not this one? Maybe next time. I'll get you next time, right? And then you get picked, right? It's like that in Bible Institute for me. Like, please do not ask me this question. Pick him. And then they pick you. I'm like, oh, no. It's a 50-50, and I guessed right one time. I'm like, okay, good. I would have looked like an idiot if I didn't know that one. But you get afraid when it's time to start choosing some people to go to the battle. So don't be afraid, though. Easy for me to say, right? But this happened for a long time. If you skip to verse 16, it says, what? And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself one day, right? No. This went on 40 days saying, come on, I want to fight somebody. And that's the devil at times. Come on, I want to fight somebody. And I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to throw you up there. At some point, your supervisor is going to throw you up in the battle. You're like, 40 days went on. So is it kind of hard to get people to fight? 40 days and nobody's fighting? I'd be a little upset, to be honest. I'd be like, somebody's got to do something here because we have a Goliath on our hands. Somebody's got to take him down. And you go put yourself in that situation at times. And what does a good soldier do? He's going to endure hardness. Is it going to be hard to fight that battle? You got it, but you chose that life. You chose to come to this church. You chose to marry your wife. You chose to have kids. So guess what? You're chosen. I could have titled it that. You're chosen. Now get in there. I don't want to see anybody in here waiting 40 days to go fight for their wife or their kids or for this church. And I'm not being mean, but if you wait 40 days on me, I'm gone. I'm dead. I can't last 40 days out there by myself. So you got to help me out a little bit. You got to come to my rescue. You're going to have to come to people's rescue at times. But your first instinct is to be afraid. But go and skip to verse 44. They finally found somebody. You probably know who it is. But I'll show you how you approach the battle. After 40 days, finally somebody presented himself to go finally fight. The battle was in array, and we found somebody. And then I'll show you why we fight here in a second. Verse 44 says, and the Philistines said to David, do what? The offer's always there still, right? The devil, your problems are always there ready to fight. They don't take days off, right? He wasn't like, oh, not today. No, after 40 days, he still said, come to me, and I will give thy flesh into the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. I'd probably be a little scared if somebody said that to me, because I would partly believe it. I'd be like, yeah, you're probably right. I partly believe that I'm totally probably going to flop. That's a good possibility here. But if you read David knew the Lord would deliver him. But I'm just going to show you how he approached the battle. Verse 45 said, then David said to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a shield, with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to the name of the Lord of the hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. And we'll skip up to verse 48. And this is how he comes to it. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came to drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran away. No, what does he do? He ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. At some point, the battle's going to be in array. You just got to run towards it. That's the only way to approach it at times. I hate to tell you that because you don't like to do it, but a good soldier endures hardness. Did David win? You guys know the story, right? David, Goliath, who won? They say that around this time of year, March Madness. Goliath got knocked off yesterday. How I say, you go through all that. But you run towards it. That's kind of hard for me to get you guys motivated to run towards it when you're afraid and you know you have to endure hardness. So how I can say that in the words, I can't. So that's where the Lord's got to step in play and help you out because you have to run towards it. And that's the only way to approach it. Amen. Basically, what I'm trying to skip is the 40 days of us sitting around just looking at each other. Because eventually, somebody's got to fight. I'm not being mean. Eventually, somebody's got to come up here and preach. Eventually, somebody's got to lead a prayer. Eventually, somebody's got to teach a class. Eventually, somebody's got to show up because I can't teach myself, right? Somebody's got to do something, just like in anything. Just run towards it, and the Lord will help you out. Did the Lord help David out there? He did. Like I said, you're going to be afraid. It's going to be 40 days probably. And I hate to tell you guys that. And you're going to be looking at your husband like, are you going to do something yet? How about now? How about you take charge now? And how about now? And now? No, now? 40 days probably. That's why you got to wait. If I'm just being honest, ladies. And hopefully, one day I'll get the courage to take charge and actually lead his family in the right way. That'd be a big blessing. That'd be great. But to get that, you got to present yourself to the battle, and that's going to be a scary thing at times. So now I'm going to show you why we do fight. There's reasons for it, because like I said, I'm not a fighter, so I'm not fighting for no reason. If you told me, get in the car, let's go, I'd be like, well, why? Who are we fighting? I would ask some questions. I wouldn't just go. I'm being honest. You'd have to give me a little brief explanation of why I'm fighting. And be like, is it worth it to me? And be like, okay, it's worth it to me because X, Y, Z. But just get in the car and fight because somebody cut you off at a stoplight, I'm not going to do. I absolutely go find somebody else. That's not me. You just got cut off at a stoplight. You have to deal with it. But if some stuff really goes down, I want to know why I'm fighting. And some real serious stuff goes on in life, so let me show you why you fight at times for your wife, your kids, for your church, and for the Lord. Look at 1 Samuel 23, verse 2. 1 Samuel 23, verse 2. I'll show you why they had some fights here, and the battle was set in array, and why they showed up. 1 Samuel 23 and verse 1. 1 Samuel 23 and verse 1 says, Then they told David, saying, Behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and do what? They rob the threshing floors. Is that a big deal? Yes. Is that something to fight for? Yes. If I see somebody robbing this family, this church, your joy, your happiness, you should fight for that, correct? If you see somebody messing, which is good, I'm relating it to the devil here in a second, but if you see the devil stealing your wife's joy, or this church's joy, or your kid's joy, what should you do? You should present yourself to the battle and fight that battle. Will you be afraid? Probably. You probably will, because if you're like me, it's hard to care a lot for people, right? It's like, I like people, but caring for people is a whole different story. You want me to fight for you? Get in your Bible and read it, man. You don't have to have the devil rob your joy. But a lot of people get robbed by the devil of their joy. What is the devil there to do? What is the thief there to do? Rob, I'll show you here John 10:10 real quick. Maybe that'll help you out, because I don't expect you guys just to know stuff. Look at John 10:10. I'll show you what a thief does. That thief's the devil. John 10:10. Now I'll go back to 1 Samuel if I didn't tell you that. I'm sorry, because we're going to finish that story. We have a problem presented to ourselves that somebody's getting robbed. Keilah, their threshing floors were getting robbed. And I'm going to repeat this scenario. John 10:10 says, The thief cometh not but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Praise the Lord. The Lord's that's a good side. But what was the thief there to do? Steal, kill, and destroy. So when you're getting robbed, what's happening? That's the three things that's happening. Stealing, killing, and destroying. So what do you got to do when that happens to your family or this church? You got to present yourself when the battle is in array. Is that something worth fighting for? Yes. That's something where I will get in the car and go and fight with you. Like I said, the stop sign, probably not unless you just really, really, absolutely have to. But please don't come to me with that situation. I'd rather not. But 1 Samuel back there, 23, then they said, David, they told him, I'm telling you, are there people getting robbed this morning? You got it. The devil's always trying to rob people of their joy, their happiness, your peace, your relationship with the Lord. That's always happening. So I'm telling you, like they're telling David. Then they told David, saying, Behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the threshing floors. What do you think we're going to do now? We're going to go fight. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go and smite the Philistines? And the Lord said to him, Go and smite the Philistines, and do what? And save Keilah. So some reason, I don't usually do points anymore because I'm just not like that for some reason. But if you want to do the number one point today, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 of them. But one reason why we fight is why? To save Keilah. To save your family from being robbed of their joy, their happiness, their peace, their relationship with the Lord. Because that's what the devil comes to do. Remember, steal, kill, destroy. That's what he's there for. And that's where you step up. Don't let that happen. We'll keep reading here. We'll just read verse 3, and we'll keep going on, because, like I said, in any fight, what's going to happen? What's your response? I just told you you're getting robbed. Now what? Verse 3 is your response. And David's men said unto him, behold, we be afraid. Anytime you see fighting, somebody's afraid. And that's where I'm not good at encouraging you, but I'm telling you, you are going to be afraid, but you got to get past that somehow. Somehow, some way, you got to get past being afraid because there's people getting robbed, such as your wife, such as me, such as your kids, of those things I listed off: joy, peace, happiness, relationship with the Lord. You're getting robbed of that. But who's really one to go up against the devil and try to fight him? Yeah, not me. I'll pass. You just got to go without joy for a little bit. Sorry, buddy. Maybe go eat some pizza rolls or something. That'll make you happy or something. I don't know. Whatever you like to eat. Maybe that'll help you out a little bit. But no, you got to get up and you got to fight. Then his men said unto him, behold, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Then David inquired of the Lord yet again. The Lord answered him and said, arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thy hand. So David and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines and brought away their cattle and smote them with a great slaughter. So David, I have it highlighted, did what? Saved the inhabitants of Keilah. Hopefully, when I get to heaven, I can read stories about you guys. I would be very interested. And it'd be really cool if you read, and Mitch will save the inhabitants of First Baptist Church. Not your salvation, but maybe at a time in your life where you're getting robbed at the threshing floor. I could step in and help you maybe. I think it'd be kind of cool if I read that about somebody in here. That's what David did for the inhabitants of Keilah. They were getting robbed. They couldn't help themselves. His men were greatly afraid, but they still went to fight. So I guess I'm not really too concerned about you being afraid, because that's a natural instinct. I'm more afraid if that afraid taking over and you not showing up. That's my big worry. Because there's people out there that are going to get robbed, and we need to step up at times. Because I'm not being mean. I say this and try the nicest way as possible. You're not fun to be around when you're getting robbed. It's very difficult to have a great relationship with the Lord like that. It's very difficult to have a church fun to come to when everybody's getting robbed. So at times, the battle's set and ready, you got to present yourself. And hopefully, like verse 5, they can say that. So David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. So one reason why you fight is to save people, because they're getting robbed. And you can go into stories about police, that's why, But I'm kind of talking about your family and your church. As a dad, that should be what's said about me. I shouldn't let my family be getting robbed. So that's why I need to present myself for the battle. And a lot of that's going to be you learning your Bible and teaching it to your family. It's going to be you taking charge of that thing, because I'm only here once a week, right? Twice a week. I'm not here every day to teach. So that's going to be where you guys come in and save them from that stuff. Because I promise you, get out of the Word of God, you're going to get robbed from your joy, your peace. And we could go, there's so many messages within inside this message, but, I can already tell I got 2 more points, and I've been up here a little bit. So we'll move on to the second point, another reason why we fight. First one was to save. 1 Samuel 30, verse 1. I'll show you another reason. 1 Samuel 30, verse 1. First Samuel chapter 30, verse 1. It says, and it came to pass, when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the 3rd day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south in Ziklag, and smitten Ziklag, and burned it with fire, and had taken the women captives, and were therein they slew not any, either great nor small, but carried them away, and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captive. So the second reason of why you fight, you probably can guess it, is there's people that get taken captive. And we'll go into it in a second. But you're sadly mistaken if people aren't taken captive by the devil, aren't taken captive by their flesh. I hate to say it, but not everybody lives the life they're supposed to live. So what do you think happens? They get taken captive. Why they get taken captive in this situation? Because David put them in a bad spot. I don't care who you are. If you come to church 25 years, it doesn't matter. You will put yourself in bad spots at times and leave yourself very vulnerable to the devil taking some stuff captive from you and you losing some stuff. So the way I'll word it to you guys is, you live with me long enough, I live with you long enough, I get to know you more, you get to know me more, you're going to lose some stuff along the way. Some stuff's going to get taken captive because I put you in a bad spot, and now we have some problems. If you think you're the same relationship with your wife as the day you got married, I'd say that's not even close. You've lost some stuff since then, and what you got to do? You got to fight to get it back. Why do you think people get divorced? Because they lost some stuff along the way. Because they put themselves in a bad position, and they got taken captive. When something gets taken captive, you have to fight to get it back. Same thing with your relationship with the Lord. You can lose that luster with your relationship with the Lord because you put yourself in a bad situation. And then you lose, and you're like, well, I just don't understand why I don't enjoy coming to church anymore. Because you put yourself in a bad situation. And to get that back, you got taken captive, you got to fight for it. When the battle's on array, you have to present yourself and fight for it back. So I'm not saying don't come to me if you have a divorce problem. But I'm just going to tell you got to fight for it back. Your love for the Lord, you got to fight for that back. Your love for just listening to me preach, you got to fight for that back. It's not just going to come naturally back to you once you lose it. Did David just wake up the next day and they just naturally came walking back like, wow, this is pretty cool? I lost him one day. No, what does he have to do now? He's got to fight. But look here in verse 6, his first response, once again, is he's afraid. He's like, oh no. Everybody gets afraid when it first hits. One thing that I will have to say, no, I'm not going to say that. It's not bad. It's just I don't need to say it. But 1 Samuel 30, verse 6 says, and David was greatly, what? Distressed. Why? Because stuff got taken captive. The thing I'll say, I was going to say it about myself, but I don't like to make myself look good, is when people are afraid and distressed, what do? They run around with their head cut off. They run around acting ridiculous. And usually in that process, the first thing they don't think of is showing up to battle and showing up to church. They don't think, let me go read my Bible real quick. They don't think, let me go pray. Now, that's what I want to say. Try to have it even keel to you. Even when you are distressed, even when you are afraid, you should know I still come to church. I still read my Bible. I still pray. I do all that stuff because I got to fight for that stuff back. But David was greatly stressed. But if you read the rest of that verse, what does he end it with? But David encouraged himself, and the Lord is God. That's a very popular verse because everybody gets distressed. So before the fight, that's going to be my best encouragement for you guys, go to the Lord and get encouraged by him. But if you really skip up here in verse 17, I'll show you. David had to go fight for it back, the stuff that's taken captive. So if I was you, I'd try to think of some stuff that I feel like is taken captive in my relationship with my wife, my kids, the Lord, this church, some things I feel like I've lost along the way. I'll try to think of that and try to fight it back because you've lost some stuff. I don't care who you are. Verse 17 says, and David smote them from the twilight even to the evening of the next day, and they were escaped, not a man of them, save 400 young men which rode upon camels and fled, and David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. Another reason why we fight is why? People are captive, and what do we have to do? You got to rescue them. Are you going to have to rescue your wife at times? Yes. Are you going to rescue your husband at times? Yes. You get to rescue your kids at times? Yes. You got to rescue me at times? You got it. Why? Because I put myself in a bad position, and I got taken captive, and I'm looking at you to come get me. I'm assuming if I was David's 2 wives, I'd be like, I'm just looking for David to come because this dude better show up. If I got taken captive, I better see you cresting the hill here soon. You better show up and get me back because I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun when the devil's taking my joy, when I don't have a good relationship with the Lord. You better come rescue me. Get me out of here. But it's hard to get people to show up to the battle because you're greatly distressed, and you miss out on the part of encouraging yourself in the Lord. So hopefully this is helping you a little bit. But the last point, and you made it through it. I know this is kind of it's as awkward for you as it is for me. How's that sound? I'll say that. But the last point here is 2 Samuel 11. Another reason why we fight is because if you're not fighting, you're doing something stupid. 2 Samuel 11:1. If you're not in church, you're doing something stupid. I'm not reading. If I miss church, I'm not at home reading my Bible. That's just how it is. I'm not at home praying. If you do not see me here, I'm not doing anything related to growing closer to the Lord. I'm just not. So I come here, so I make sure I am. It's an opportunity for me not to go out and do something stupid. Because you see here, David, you guys know the story, so I don't even have to go over it too long. David was supposed to be fighting, but instead he was with Bathsheba. The opportunity shouldn't have been there because I was supposed to be in the battle. The battle was sent already. I was supposed to show up. And when I don't show up to church, or if I don't show up reading my Bible, I'm going to find something that's stupid else to do. That's me, that's you. I will find something to go mess up. But 2 Samuel 11:1 says, and it came to pass, after the year was expired at the time, when what? Kings go forth. It's about the last time I checked, David was a king. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but he was a king. So he was supposed to go forth to battle, but that David sent Joab and his servants with him, and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. David didn't show up to the battle. Mitch Jones didn't show up to the battle. So what do you think I'm at home doing? Oh, he's probably, fasting and praying and reading his Bible. No, I'm not. And you're not. I'm either watching TV or I'm doing something stupid that's not helping me. And David here says, it came to pass in the evening time that David arose from off his battle bed and got up and checked out the battle, right? No, because you're in your bed when you're at home. If you're not at church, you're in bed. That's the only easy way I can say it. He got off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house, and from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. You can read the rest of the story if you like, but you guys know what happened with Bathsheba, right? He committed a great sin there. That shouldn't have even been an opportunity because he should have been in battle. So you'll save yourself by fighting and rescuing and delivering people and all this to saving your family from doing a bunch of stupid stuff because I'm too busy fighting right now. So hopefully you can skip some of those opportunities because 90% of the time you're going to fail that. Because like I said, I'm not here, I'm in bed, and I raise up and I go find something stupid to go do. That's exactly what David did. So the third reason why you fight is because it's going to save you a lot of heartache. Is fighting hard? Yes, but when you're not fighting, it's even harder because then you're just sitting there. And you know the story, idle hands, and you got the devils, That's what happens. You go find something to do that you shouldn't be doing. So try to stay in the battle because it will just save you from doing stuff like David. If you read the whole story, he lost his kid over it and had whole stuff he had to reap about that. So instead of reading that, I like to read the part where I'm saving people and rescuing family. Yeah, I like that part. So to get that, you got to endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ, though. I'll end with 1 Samuel. This is it. I'm closing. 1 Samuel. As you guys come up to the altar, this should be your goal. If I said that right. 1 Samuel 22 and verse 23. This should be your goal, and I should feel like I can say this with a clear conscience is what I want to be able to do. 1 Samuel 22 and verse 23. 1 Samuel 22 and verse 23. It says, Abide thou with me, fear not, for he that seeketh my life seeketh thy life, but with me thou shalt be in a what? Safeguard. David says, don't worry, you're with me, dude. Oh yeah, we have to go fight, but it's not that big of a deal. Why is it not a big deal? Because you're with me. Why is that? Well, I'm with you. That's a big. Well, if you're with me, I'm gonna go fight. And if we're gonna go fight, we're gonna go win because the Lord's on his side. So Dave's like, you don't even gotta worry about it, man. Because when the battle's in array, I'm gonna show up. Granted, you read 20, a couple of chapters later, he didn't show up, right? That's what I'm saying. This should be your goal to be able to say that to somebody. But with me, thou shalt be in a safeguard. You're in a safeguard because I'm gonna go fight. When the battle puts itself in array, I'll go fight. If you get taken captive, I'll go rescue. That's a safeguard. And that should be your relationship with the Lord. The Lord should be your safeguard. But I'm trying to get you guys to work on your relationship with your friends, your family, your wife, your kids. They should be feeling safe around you because they know if stuff hits the fan, guess what? I'll go fight. I'll get you back. Don't worry about that. Because I'm in my Bible, I'm reading, I got a relationship with the Lord going. So just simply try to present yourself in the battles in array because there are people out there that got robbed. There's people out there that got taken captive, and they need help. And they're going to be looking for somebody like us to go help them. If you guys are having problems, more than likely, you're going to look for somebody in this church to help you with. If I have problems, guess what? I'm going to look for somebody in here to help me with them. Because we don't like dealing with problems by ourselves because it's impossible. So think about that. Like I said, I probably did. You can rate me if you like, but keep it to yourself. I didn't do a great job delivering it because it's not my type of message because I'm not a pacifist, but a passive, shy guy. But hopefully the Lord helped you out with that stuff. Hopefully it wasn't just for me. Because like I said, that's a fine line that I don't know sometimes. Like, is that just for me, Lord? Or is that for everybody to hear? But hopefully that was for you to hear. Hopefully you want to be a safeguard, and hopefully you want to help some people out. But go ahead and come up to the altar, and that's all I got.
Come on up to the altar. Let the Lord be your safeguard.